Yo,
Hi, Danish.
what's up, man?
Very good evening from India and a very good morning to you. Hello, Max.
Hello, good morning.
Very good evening from India and a very good morning to you as well. All right, so we're live. I think our followers are beginning to come in as well. So, gentlemen, are you ready to begin? Yeah, ready as ready can be, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so first of all, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all our viewers, wherever in the world you all are from. And welcome to this first of its kind men's health chat for IBD patients. We'd like to, first of all, I'd like to start by thanking IB Basics, Team IB Basics, for giving us this platform, for lending us their platform to be able to talk about men's health. As most of you already know, this is Men's Health Awareness Month. And having been given this opportunity, we decided to talk about various important topics related to men's health. I've got two wonderful guests with me here today. Daanish from California and Max as well. Daanish and Max, we'll start with Daanish, of course. If you'd like to kindly introduce yourselves to our guests.
Hey, everyone. As Gaurav said, my name is Daanish. I was diagnosed with IBD at 22, and at 25, I had the full colectomy and the J-pouch takedown surgery. And since then, I've been J-pouch living and medicine-free for the last decade after the surgery. And mostly just now it's small symptoms here and there, but it's been definitely worth the surgery since doing it.
Right. Thank you, Daanish. Thank you for that introduction. Max, how about you?
So I'm Max, and I was diagnosed with UC about 5 years ago. And it's just been an interesting journey learning how to get my foot in the door and learning about what that is and learning like what it basically encompasses.
Right. Wonderful, Max. Thank you for that. I'm your host for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gaurav. I hail from the city of Joy, Kolkata in India. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2015 when I was living in the UAE, and I was a banker there. And since then, I've had two major flare-ups, 2015 being my first and 2019 being my second. That happened a month before my wedding. It was quite an experience. So we're here to talk about men's health today. And I'm going to start off by asking you guys a basic question. Like, what does men's health mean to you? When you hear the phrase men's health, what does it mean to you? Daanish, why don't we kick off with you?
What does men's health mean to me?
Daanish, that's not a loaded question, man. You don't need to take your time today.
Okay. It means being in tune with your mind and body, and what's good for it, what's not overworking yourself, knowing your limits, and just being in tune with everything you need.
Yeah, thanks. That's really insightful, and I completely agree with you. It's physical, mental, it's emotional, it's so many things at the same time, right? And it's just overall health, which is what we need to realize. Max, we're going to ask you the same question. What do you think men's health means to you? Just the phrase men's health, what does it bring to your mind?
I think like when I think of like men's mental health or like health, it comes to the idea of like learning how to process our emotions and be able to vocalize what they are, since most men are taught to not do that. And I think it's also finding ways to work through your traumas and healing from them, and finding self-care activities that you enjoy that helps you feel re-grounded and recharged at the end of the day, like going on a walk or something.
Yeah, that's very insightful as well. I think, Max, you mentioned traumas and how to handle them. And we being IBD patients, we know only too well what trauma is all about. And the post-trauma stress disorder that I'm sure we all have been through at some point in time. It's great. I'm so glad I have guests such as yourself today on this talk. I'm looking forward to really great insights from you guys. So I'm going to start with a phrase that I hear in the South Asian community only too often. It's a Hindi common Urdu phrase, and it says "Mard ko dard nahi hota." Right? I'm sure both of you at least know what that means in South Asian men. That translated, it means men don't feel any pain. It's almost like we're supposed to be born superheroes. So just to let you all know, I choose Hulk. Right? You guys can choose whoever the hell you want. Any superhero of your choice. Right? We're expected. There are societal expectations from all of us. Given how we're supposed to conduct our academics, our career, family responsibilities at a later stage, and all of that, right? And especially for South Asian men, there are many expectations. You're supposed to be physically, mentally, extremely strong, as I'm sure it is for the rest of the world and the men in the rest of the world as well. But how have you all personally dealt with these kind of expectations? How have you all dealt with keeping all of it inside, all the pain, all the anguish inside, and just upholding that manly spirit, that manhood, and leading your lives as patients of IBD post your diagnosis, especially. Max, I'm going to start with you. What do you think? Your 2 bits on this.
For me, it was just learning that it is okay to show emotion. As a kid, I was someone who was more sensitive, so I've always showed more emotions, but I've always been told, like, I'm not supposed to do that. So for me, it was learning to not feel guilty for having emotions and realizing that sometimes that vulnerability to do that is actually the stronger thing to do, because then you are able to make that change, because you are able to express what you're feeling and what you're going through. And I feel like it's a constant struggle with people with IBD, because to many it's seen as an invisible illness. So if we're not going to talk about what's going on, then no one's going to know the battles that we face every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's extremely important to address emotions as males. It reminds me of another saying which says men don't cry. And, first thing that comes to my mind is, who the heck told you that? Clearly, you haven't met us, and you haven't been through kind of struggles we've been through physically and mentally. It's been a harrowing experience for all of us, I'm sure, being diagnosed with IBD. It's very important to take care of your mental health, to your emotions. Be sensitive towards yourself before you expect anyone else to do that. Yeah. Daanish, we'll throw the same question to you. Societal expectations, and how you've dealt with it, and upholding your manhood amidst all the trauma that you've been through physically and mentally after being diagnosed with IBD.
So first off, I will say I actually, to come to terms with everything, once I was done with surgery and everything, I went to therapy. I needed to figure out how to navigate my life now because I wasn't sick. That itself was anxiety of its own, because you get lost in this, this type of cycle that, okay, it's a flare-up, I'm not going to be able to do anything. And then it's, okay, I'm better. When's the next flare-up? Okay, I'm better now. So being able to actually plan something and being able to understand that this might actually be a long-term solution for me, um, and being okay with not being okay. That's the biggest thing. As men, we are not trained in our minds to say we're not okay. So doing that and talking about it, and even now, like with my J-Pods, I still have my ups and downs, but it's not anywhere as bad as it was when I had UC. So being able to still make those plans for the future, it's it's stressful, but then it's also liberating at the same time.
Yeah, that's very well said. Very well said, Danish. I'm sure, I personally have been through that as well. I mean, when you start flaring up and you're better for a little bit of time, there's always that anxiety kicking into your head and telling you when's the next flare up going to come, and
Yeah.
how long am I really going to be able to plan. But despite that, just you know, taking all of it inside, just sucking it all in, being able to just just look forward to whatever your future holds. I think that is liberating,
Yeah.
and I would completely agree with you. I've had similar experiences too. For me, I run a business of my own, and it's been really difficult post the diagnosis sometimes to be able to function, especially after my flare up. I have nobody to fall back on when it comes to my work. Of course, I have my father next to me. I have to be respectful of the fact that he's growing older. I need to take responsibility as the only son. And sometimes I felt so sick when I've gone into meetings, but I've been obligated to do those meetings. They were important. I've been sick. I've literally been in meetings and I've had to rush in and out of the bathroom, or I've just had to throw up and come back to the meeting. There's been harrowing experiences that left me scarred, and I really didn't have a choice because I had nothing to fall back on. And I realized that I was the one bringing bread and butter to my family, and nobody was going to do that for me. It's been quite a ride, but like you said, like we got to man up, and we just have to do what we have to do in order to keep going. Uh, you know, yeah. So the next topic that I'd like to touch upon is something that's very close to all our hearts, because I'm a fitness buff. Danish, I know you're big into fitness. Yeah, Max. Every time I talk to you, it's usually your morning and my evening, and I see you rocking that fitness gear, coming back from your walks and your runs. Yeah, looking fly as ever. So, you know, we're all into fitness here, and I just want to, because it's a men's health chat more than anything else, I want to know what fitness means to you guys. Danish, we're going to start with you here, and I want to know how IBDs change how you look at fitness, men's fitness, because for us men, endurance, strength, stamina, these things matter in more ways than one. Right? These are all very important words in our dictionary as well. So I just want to ask, what fitness means to you now? Has there been a change in definition post your IBD diagnosis? How do you look at fitness holistically now?
So back when I didn't have UC, we get into the gym because we want to look good. We want to have those muscles and everything. After being diagnosed, I actually started researching more on what fitness would fit me, and I think that, and when I say what fitness would fit me, it's what type of sport, what type of thing I could do to relieve stress, or even just for like my passion. And the thing is that with fitness, it can be anything. And there's a stigma that, oh, you have to go to the gym and kill yourself 7 times a week, And it's ridiculous. It's fitness can be whatever you want it to be. It can be running, it can be walking, it can be uh, swimming, anything. And for me, it was I chose boxing and weightlifting because I I've been lifting on and off since I was 14 with sports and just it's not for people. It's oh I want to get bigger. For me, it's a passion. It's something I really enjoy. It's a stress reliever. It makes me feel good, and I like competing. You know that athlete side of me comes out, and so that and boxing because boxing it's a mental health reason for me. It's being comfortable with the uncomfortable, and so all these things play a part in my physical and mental health. And you need to find that in your fitness journey. It's not about looking like a celebrity. It's about feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. Danish, very well said. I'm actually very fond of boxing and jiu-jitsu myself. I've trained in MMA, in fact, post my diagnosis, and I think it played a major role in actually teaching me how to fight mentally. I totally agree with you. You know, when I did that, especially jiu-jitsu and boxing brings about the sense of discipline. It puts you in a very uncomfortable place. It's not funny when you're getting punched in the face or in the liver. It gasses you out big time. So all of that actually taught me how to fight. It really helped grooming me to mentally fight. And with my second flare up, I realized how important my training was to me. And I still thank my coach. I said, you know, just because of you, you've given me so much strength, I can't begin to tell you. I also agree with you about, you know, you doing you, like just going with what you are comfortable with bodily. You don't have to live up to stigmas of what health is or compete on the next fad that's on Instagram health-wise or on Facebook or whatever it is. Your body is your temple. It's what you worship every day. It's about what it means to you and how much your body can take, and we are bodily very, very different, each and every one of us. I'm so glad you brought this up. That was an excellent point to have made. Max, I'm going to move on to you. What does fitness mean to you? And what do you do to stay fit? How has it been post your diagnosis? Let's talk fitness, Max.
I feel like to me, fitness is like a work in progress, and I feel like it's not always like a moving forward. Sometimes you have to move back in order to move forward, especially when you're having a flare. You may have to dial down and then really assess the situation and get yourself ready to move forward in whatever sport you choose to do. And like for me, as I get flares, but I also get joint pain, so I had to learn how to navigate working out with joint pain. And I'm like, this is kind of hard because at a young age, it's not really expected for you to have joint pain. So what I learned that helps for me is like I have a dog and I try to walk him at least an hour a day. And for me, it's a motivation of, oh, I'm working out, but I'm also doing something that I enjoy, which is hanging out with my husky. Also, like I found that yoga helps, and it's like it seems simple. People don't really always realize how it's like people don't always consider it a form of exercise, but I realized that even though it's not strenuous, it is something that does help a lot.
Absolutely. Great points, Max. Yoga, I think, has been a savior for me. So I'll be very honest. Pre-diagnosis, I really didn't believe in yoga myself. But you know, when you get hit with IBD, it takes so much out of you. I mean, I was, say, 1 month I was 84 kilos, and then I go into the hospital and I'm out and I've got a stricture and a lack of absorption and nutrition all of a sudden, and I'm back, boom, in a month and a half, 2 months, I'm down to 70 kilos. I've lost like 14 kg straight. I'm weak. My muscles have gone down. And that's when, you know, yoga came as a savior. It gave me my basic fitness back. It helped me rejuvenate my body, still feel strong, energetic, uh, cut out the fatigue, be able to fight, you know. And I think it was such a blessing. And ever since then, I haven't let go of yoga. I think it's the best way to rejuvenate your body, keep your energy up, keep your flexibility alive, keep those joints moving. It's such a great form of exercise, such a great form of fitness. So I'm glad you're into that, Max, and I'm sure it's going to take you a long way for many years to come. Right? We're going to move on to something which is it's like stepping on your pet corn when you have IBD. You know, next topic is nutrition
Oh,
because it's one of our favorites. We IBD fellows are always thinking about what we're going to eat next. Are we not? I mean, yeah, of course we are. So nutrition. I mean, I just don't want to address the fact that we've had to change our diet a lot. But it's also taken away a lot of so-called fun from our lives. You can't go drinking with the boys anymore. You can't go have that fast food anymore. Like if you feel like a burger, you got to think 10 times whether your body can handle it or not, or a pizza or whatever. For a lot of us, it's like that. And then again, there's been so much basic change to your diet. Like when I flare up, I can't handle gluten, for example, or I can't handle milk at all. I can't handle a lot of high fiber food. So it's a lot of slow progress and a lot of change. But how has your nutrition, your level of nutrition, what do you think about diet and nutrition? How has it changed with IBD? How have you handled it? Max, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I think for me, like as a foodie, I've always loved food. So when I got diagnosed, it kind of strained my relationship with food because I just wanted to eat whatever I could, but I know I couldn't. But I feel like in the recent years, I've learned how to make foods in a way where I can eat it. So if I'm having a flare, I'll eat like light, but I might have foods that have less fiber. Like for me, potatoes work, so that's what I usually go for. But then, like, after a flare, I try to slowly introduce fiber again. So I've learned, like, I can't have big chunks of veggies. So what I do is if I'm making pasta, I'll make my pasta sauce out of the veggies. So it's like I'm still getting the nutrients I need, but it's easier to digest. But I feel like the hardest thing is for each person, it's different. Like, what works for me might not work for you guys. So it's a lot of trial and error and learning that it's okay if you mess up and you ate something that didn't sit well, because now you know how you can improve upon that. And for me, that was having a food log. So I would log down what I ate, how I felt after, so that I could improve upon that and know what I needed to avoid.
That's great, Max. I'm so happy. You're quite the cook. I mean, you keep sharing these amazing stories and these recipes, and I'm always looking at that, and I'm just like drooling and going like, wow, this guy can cook, and he cooks really well, and all that food looks just so yummy, man. It just looks so great, And I'm so glad, you made the point about what works for you need not work for me or Daanish for that matter. And it's very important to understand that, isn't it? Which brings me to just one more point that I'd like you to highlight and touch upon. When say you go meet friends or relatives, do they really get the fact that you can't eat what they can eat anymore, and are they accommodating, or have you had a problem with that? And I've literally have had people going like, even when it comes to my food, and I'm like, oh no, I don't eat this, I don't eat that, and they're like, oh, since when did men become so picky about their food?
Yeah.
And I raise my eyebrow like The Rock in WWE, and I'm like, what the hell do you even mean by that? I really give them the stare, man. So Max, have you faced similar situations? I mean,
I used to be the person who would just eat the food because I felt bad, and I'm like, I don't want to be disrespectful. But then as the years pass, I learned that it's better to just let them know up front that you can't eat it, and you might just have one bite just to like spare their emotions, but also like eat something else that they might have that's more like easy to digest. But I've definitely found that as I've had these conversations, it's been much easier to navigate them. And sometimes
Right.
it's like, oh, and so if someone like tries to call me picky eater or something, I just explain to them, well, it's not that I'm picky, it's just I literally can't eat it because it's not gonna sit well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's so difficult at times, isn't it? Which is what I'm saying. Like you just have to like probably eat just a little bit just to keep them, happy so that they don't complain and go like, you never eat, man. You never eat when we
Yeah,
go out. You never eat at my place and stuff like that. It gets really, really touchy and emotional, doesn't it? But
yeah,
Desis and food, we're very touchy about our food. Let's face it.
yeah.
So Danish, moving on to you, I'm sure you've got your bit to share with us on fitness and uh, uh, how the diet rolls in with the fitness and what you eat apart from that, just without the fitness in question and all of that. So tell us more about your diet and
Yeah.
what nutrition means to you.
So where to begin? I I began working with trainers for both of my sports because I felt like I was getting hurt a lot and I needed more assistance because of bouncing back from flare-ups and just overall feeling. I didn't feel good and I needed surgery for those injuries. So I started working with trainers, and the only problem I will say that I have had is that with trainers that don't understand IBD patients, they will tell you to eat the brown rice, chicken, broccoli, and for some, who knows, it may actually work that suffer with IBD. But for me and my journey, it was hell, and I finally had to tell them, hey, um, I I can't do this. And so I pretty much had to develop my own diet. And I mean, it may not give me the results I'm supposed to get, but it works for me. And with the um, with the just overall stigma of you've got to eat this to look good, it's BS. Forgive my language. It's just don't let what society tells you has to be your diet be your diet, especially if you suffer from an ailment.
Absolutely, Danish. We've got a question from Own Your Crohn's, which is Tina, as you know, and she's asking, how do you work on your fitness with a J power? Does it help you like retain your muscles? And maybe you'd like to address that because it's a pertinent question.
Um, well, working out with the J pouch has had its his obstacles. The thing is that with the food retention, I can't put down those 2,000 calories that people are supposed to eat. So
Right.
I had to find my limits and,
Yeah.
be okay with it.
Absolutely. Great. You also have a friend who's asking you what moisturizer you use, man. Do you want to answer that as well?
Just regular lotion, nothing too fancy. I don't do anything before this.
Yeah, Max, I love the way your hair's gelled up too. So do you want to answer what hair gel you use? Because I'm asking you that question.
I don't know the name of the brand, but it's made out of flaxseed oil and
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
castor oil, so it's just more natural.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Danish, you made some thanks, by the way, Max. I'll get you with the name later. Yeah, I'll ask you again. So, Danish, I'm going to get back to you and some of the points you've made. I think I faced very similar problems with my diet when I started working out post IBD. I become really skinny back then, but I put on a lot of muscle post that. a good couple of years at least. But I had to keep working on it and working on my diet. A lot of things actually didn't work for me back then, especially whey protein supplements that a lot of trainers asked you to have. And I couldn't tolerate any of that because it had dairy in it. I'm lactose intolerant. So I kept asking my trainer for something which was lactose free. And they eventually suggested a brand which had a lot of caffeine in it, which would again make me acidic. So I had to completely let go of that. I said, look, I have to rely on natural resources. Then he put me on, vitamins and multivitamins and up my intake of protein, and that actually worked for me, and I managed to put on a decent amount of muscle. So I did see somebody talking about and asking for tips about how you actually put on muscle and how it is to put on muscle with IBD or weight with IBD. So we'll start with you, Danish. You work out regularly. What has really helped you with putting on weight with IBD? What do you think?
Well, so
mantra.
right. So it was again trial and error, because people use stuff like creatine, proteins, all of these supplements to kind of put the muscle on. I attempted to do it, and then the next day never did it again. It was the worst feeling in the world.
I know only too well how that feels, man.
And I actually did find some proteins that do work for me, but the creatine stuff, I don't know how people with IBD take it. It's such a miserable feeling. With kind of just feeling out how my body's feeling that day, and also with just working out to the limit that I feel I accomplished something. I'm a firm believer in listening to your body. So let's say you work out one day, but you're really sore, and then you're really sore the next day too. It's okay to only work out 2 to 3 times a week. It's okay to work out twice a week. It's all overall feeling, and it really depends on your goal and what you are trying to, gain. But again, don't over-exacerbate yourself with working out, because it's about feeling good. It's not about looking like an IG model.
Well said. Well said. It's all about how you feel, isn't it? And just like to add there, it's I weighed a lot more earlier, even with my muscle, and I was much bigger in terms of my frame. But post my last flare-up, I've actually consciously tried to keep my weight at between about 75 and 76 kilos. I'm about 6'1" in height. And I honestly, even though a lot of my friends, my relatives are telling me that I look a lot leaner now, I honestly feel a lot better with my body. I don't want to be as muscular or heavy as I was, because it kind of slowed me down. Now I have speed, I have agility, I feel more energetic, and I feel much better being a leaner version of myself. So, and I don't lift nearly as much as I did, but I work a lot on my mobility. I work on all other kinds of strength, especially body weight. I've been playing around with calisthenics a bit, and it's actually worked for me, right? So it's all about tweaking it to what feels good. I think putting on weight beyond a certain extent is overrated, and so is putting on muscle. I think it's about unless you're like a pro athlete or something, where you really need it, right, for the performance. I think it's about feeling good. It's about feeling energetic. It's also about feeling healthy from within, and getting all the right signals from your body, right? Max, what about you and your IBD journey and putting on weight and muscle, and how has it been with you and fit and overall just did you lose a lot of weight when you were diagnosed with UC? How did you put it back on? What did you do? What is your go-to mantra for this?
I feel like I had the opposite problem. I didn't lose weight, I gained weight. And I think it was basically in the past 4 years, I've had active UC. So I've been on steroids several times throughout the year to help treat it. And due to that, I've gained weight each time I've had to do it. So for me, it was just learning that my ideal thing for me is not like muscles per se at the moment. It's more focusing on, like Daanish was saying, feeling good and strengthening my muscles and my joints after a flare, or like keep stretching them during a flare so they don't tense up as much. And for me, it's just figuring out how, like, it's for me was learning that it's okay to have the weight as long as I find ways to feel good, and from there I can work on losing weight little by little.
That's great, Max. Thank you for those inputs. Guys, I'm gonna touch upon pretty much the last topic for this evening, but it's again one of our favorites, we IBD fellows. It's about mental health and being a man. And I can see you laughing, Danish. Like it's like you like talking about this one because there's so much to say, and I completely agree with you. And I'm gonna ask you guys, like, the pressure of being a man, manhood, and IBD, and the expectations versus what you are able to do, right? And what effect it has on your mental health and your frame of mind. Just throw some light upon that, please, and the challenges you face and what you've had to overcome. Also, couple that up with say we are all young here, so couple that up with relationships too, right? And what kind of pressure that's brought around, and how you've dealt with it, right? So I'm actually going to we're a little pressed for time, so I'm actually going to couple those up, and I'm going to try and get the best out of both worlds, and see what you guys have to say. So Danish, I'd like to start with you, please. What do you think? Mental health and relationships, and how those two have kind of coupled up for you post your IBD diagnosis and all the expectations. Let it out, bro. Let it out.
Man. So I wasn't fully aware of my mental health until after my surgery. I wasn't aware of where my trigger points were, what my just overall feeling towards being sick, and just what I needed for myself. And then once the surgeries were done, then it was just like, okay, I started dealing with anxiety, started just overall depressed feeling whenever I would have a bad day from IBD. And there's this saying that I live by: mind is gut, because your gut is like another, it's like another mind. When it's stressed out, it tenses up, and it can cause things like, for us, flare-ups. And with that, it's me personally, I had to deal with PTSD from the surgery, anxiety, and just overall had to kind of take it upon myself to help myself, because as we know, being in a basic community, it's not really talked about much that mental health is a big thing. So I didn't have a lot of people I could talk to about that in the basic community, but I took it upon myself, went to therapy, found things that work for me, and I continue to, grow and see what will help. Relationship wise, it's definitely been a challenge, because being able to be open about IBD and that fear of being rejected has played a big part for me. So it's overall being comfortable with who you are and accepting this is me. If someone wants to reject you, they didn't never deserve you from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. I think mental health is a major stigma in the Desi communities. It's not really spoken about. It's not a comfortable subject. So I'm glad you managed to go out there and get the help that you needed. Also, relationships are never easy. I mean, and there's so much that goes on, and the dynamics completely change. So I'm glad you've managed to deal with it your own way, and that's great, man. That's great.
Thanks.
Max, uh, I'd like to ask you about say mental health, and especially about relationships as well, and only if you're comfortable talking about it, how you've managed to kind of overcome the barriers that it's caused, that IBD's caused with these two things, and what you've done to be able to overcome it. If you don't mind sharing something.
So I think the first step for me when it came to mental health was learning to like not feel guilty for needing accommodations. Because when I first started college and then at another job too, I had my staff members who would oftentimes make me feel bad for needing accommodations, or they would make it hard for me to even get them. And for me, it was learning how to advocate for myself, but also learning when it's time to walk away and go to a new place, whether that's school or work. And for me, it was learning that just because you walked away doesn't mean you gave up. You're just moving on to something that's better for you so you can actually be successful. And
well said.
Yeah. And I think the other thing was learning is like, so since I got diagnosed at 18, it was relatively new for me. And it was learning how the world is so, like, it's not as friendly to disabled people as I used to think it was. So that was like a shock for me. So learning how to navigate through that and how to talk about my opinions in a way where I can get the other person to see what I'm saying, but also not rile them up, because if they get riled up, then they're going to stop listening. So then there's no point of having those conversations. And I think for like relationships, for me, I actually had to like look within myself and see where I was at and get to know the new me after my diagnosis, so that I knew what my identity was, and to learn that I'm more than what my illness is. I have so many other good things for me, like a part of me, so I shouldn't worry about that one bad thing or like negative thing that people may see it as. And like Daanish said, if someone cannot accept me for all of me, then it's not worth it to pursue that avenue, because in the end, that's just setting myself to get hurt.
Yes, sir.
That was so absolutely. Danish, would you like to say something?
No, I was just agreeing. I was hyping Max up.
I think that was so enlightening, man. Max, you blew my mind with what you just said. Especially about the relationships, when you spoke about getting to know the new you, so that you could like you first, and then maybe move on to others liking you. That was so mature, and getting diagnosed at the age of 18 and having such thoughts is just great. And mental health, giving yourself your own time, your own pace, be able to get used to the new pace, the new way of things is also important. I think the idea is to slow down, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's first to accept yourself, to be able to know what your pace is, to be able to know what matters to you, what you are actually looking for. So look within, and then maybe look outside. And Max, I can't agree more with you. You killed it with what you just said. That was wonderful. Just two bits of experience from my end too. I'm actually married. I got married in 2019, and I got married to the most beautiful girl in the world. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have my wife. She's extremely supportive. My wife and I started, my now wife and girlfriend, and I started dating when I was 23. I actually got diagnosed when I was 25. And the diagnosis actually changed a lot in terms of my thinking, my mental health, my physical health, and so on and so forth. But, she stuck right there for me. And she said, you know what, for good or for bad, we're in this together. So there were times when it was very, very difficult. I would have like terrible mood swings, or I'd be really down in the dumps. She was really patient and got me out, and gave me my time to recover, to recuperate, and come back. And every single time, she was just there waiting for me. I've been very lucky that way. Uh, Post my wedding, I flared up the second time. Unfortunately, 1 month before my wedding, that was like really unfortunate. It was bad timing. That's about it. But this disease doesn't give you a timeline, and it crops up. It's like a jack in the box, man. It pops out of nowhere. I'm sorry, that was just me venting. I couldn't help that one. And so my wife Radhika, she hadn't lived with me and hadn't seen it firsthand. And this time she was a little shocked, to be honest. She didn't realize how bad it was just talking to me over the phone, coming to visit, as compared to seeing me 24/7. I was fine one morning, and then by the evening, I was cranky as hell, screaming, shouting, crying, in severe pain, going like, I don't want to do this anymore, just losing all hope. And then the next morning, I was all right again. The ups and downs, and it took her a while to understand, me. But again, she surprised me. Or actually, it was no surprise knowing the beautiful person that she is inside now. She totally took it in her stride and was there. She understood me. She was there for me, and she stayed with me no matter what. And I just want to tell everybody out there that just because you have a condition which isn't your fault, which came from nowhere, doesn't mean you don't deserve somebody. There is going to be, if you look hard enough and you look for a genuine relationship rather than just being shallow about it, you're going to find someone who is going to be there for you no matter what, and who is going to love you for who you are. But just like Max said, it's so important to be able to love yourself first and see how awesome you are. So I keep telling myself, I'm like, I'm different. I may be different. I may have an ailment. It's all right, but I'm still awesome. And it's so important to love yourself first and then have somebody love you for who you are. And the moment you kind of realize that and you address that, I think a lot of things change. What you're looking for in a relationship changes, who you are with changes, and that's what leads you to finding the right person. And I'm sure, everybody with IBD who wants to have a relationship, who it matters to, if they look hard enough and they try hard enough, they will find someone who is worth their time. All right, so we're almost at the end of our chat. I think it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you all. I'd like to just have you wrap up with one or two last thoughts on men's health, and just your word of advice, or just your thoughts to share with people out there, whoever our viewers are watching this. What would you like to say? Max, we'll start with you.
I would say have patience with yourself, and just know that even if things seem hard and not every day seems perfect, it does get better as you learn and expand your toolkits for each day. And I feel like you'll learn when to pivot and how to pivot and navigate these difficult situations. But also, I think my biggest thing is self-care is one of the biggest things that can help you do that, because sometimes these situations can take so much out of you that you have to learn how to recharge yourself so that you don't feel so drained that you're no longer able to advocate or take care of yourself at the end of the day.
I completely agree with you, and I completely understand. And yeah, I'm one with you on that, Max. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all your thoughts today. I really appreciate it, brother. You've been great. Danish, just a final note to end. What do you have to say to the viewers out there and everybody else about men's health, and just one last uh, note before we sign off?
Um, Man, Max kind of took all the good ideas. No, I'm kidding. Um,
I'm sure
so,
you have some of your own, buddy.
yeah, no, I'm gonna just put you back off what he said and just be like, and tell you that take time for yourself. Be patient with yourself. Know your limits. Don't over exacerbate yourself for anything or anyone. They, if they're meant to be in your life, they will understand your pain. Um, and first and foremost, just because we suffer from an ailment does not mean we are not kings. Own your kingdom.
Oh yeah, well said, well said. We're kings, and we shall always remain kings, and our kingdom shall be intact. I'd like to say just for myself, I'm just going to say I think it's okay not to be okay, and you keep doing you. You know, the entire stigma around what a man is defined to be and a man should be. I mean, we right here we're redefining manhood. We go through a lot of stress, a lot of pain, physically, uh, pain and stress and anxiety that most people can't even fathom. And we're still out here. We're doing this chat. We're smiling. We're laughing. We're joking. We're still living life and we're still enjoying it. I think that's manly. And I think that's what being a man is all about, right? Um, Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you all this evening. Uh, Morning for you, of course, and afternoon for many. You all have been wonderful. You all have given us such wonderful insights, and I'm sure everybody's uh, loved hearing what you all have had to say. I hope I get to host you all again, and we catch up and talk about men's health some more. It's such an important topic. It's been great. It's been an absolute pleasure. Before I sign off, I want to thank IBD once again. This platform is amazing. It's for South Asians from all over the world who are, and it's talking about all the stigmas, it's addressing all the stigmas around IBD and putting forth so much knowledge out there. And it's so wonderful to be a part of this. You have been given this opportunity to talk about men's health, especially. IBDCs, you guys rock. Keep doing the good work that you're doing, and God bless each and every one of you, because you're changing so many lives too, and you're making an impact just like you've made in ours, and got us all together, right? Guys, adios, and I'll see you guys really soon. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for being a part of this. Cheers, guys. Take care. See you.